Issued as an official conference document in all languages. I hear no objections. So decided.
Our feelings have moved from despair to hope. On Monday, 180 countries, including Canada, agreed on the content of the Kyoto Protocol.
What happened on Monday in Bonn was incredibly significant. When the Canadian government was going to these meetings just 1 week ago, they didn't think any progress was going to be made. But out of nowhere, an agreement materialized.
Tim said to warn everyone that we're like booked up, especially after Guelph in Southern Ontario, so everyone has to be ready for busy time, but it's going to be awesome.
I'm a little nervous about going into the big cities, especially Toronto, because our numbers are low.
How many people are we down to? Like 15. Are you serious? Almost half of what we started.
A lot of stuff going on in the next few days. 3 press conferences in one day, I think that's a record for us. And street party in Hamilton, and tons of stuff going on in Toronto, so much that I don't even know how we're going to pull it off.
But it's not resolved. I'd say the group is still quite vulnerable because the activities over the next, say, 10 days aren't in that context. They might end up being more draining than building for the group.
And on behalf of the City of Toronto and the 2.3 million citizens, I want to welcome the Climate Change Caravan.
Last Monday, 180 countries, including Canada, agreed on the content of the Kyoto Protocol.
We are standing out in front of the climate change caravan bus, and we're going to find out what's interesting about this magic bus.
The majority of Canadians would be willing to see car use restrictions on smog days.
It will reduce global greenhouse gas emissions by only 2 to 3%. Scientists are calling for reductions of 50 to 80% in order to stabilize the climate. But the agreement is of vital importance. The world is looking towards a future that does not include fossil fuels, a future of clean and green energy.
Good afternoon. I would like to officially welcome everyone to the planet's first official Council of Beings. I'm the human representative, so I'm obviously in charge.
I'm beginning to doubt the competence of the human species to deal with this problem of climate change.
That the warming of the planet is being caused by the burning of fossil fuels.
By changing the way I live, I could help all of you guys out. Well, then I must do something. I must come to the rescue of other animals on Earth. I must save the day!
Esso is the largest and worst oil company in the world, and they're destroying the climate, so we're asking motorists to go elsewhere. It's part of an international boycott effort against Esso. It's unacceptable for such a corporation to be in Canada if it's going to have stands on climate change that are destroying the planet.
It was a very long day. It's 9 o'clock now. We started at 4:30 this morning. But I thought everything went really well, and I think we talked to a lot of people, and we did some really exciting stuff that we hadn't done before, and it went really well, and it felt like a good day.
We went through all the suburbs from Hamilton to Toronto. It's all suburbs. It's like, it's way too big of a problem. They need like their own climate change caravan of 50 people in Toronto. Smog was horrible. Got into my lungs. It was hard to bike and it was hard to breathe.
upwards of 35 degrees every day, which makes it about 45 degrees windy humidity. So people are cooking. Some of us are sensitive to heat exhaustion, others aren't.
It's like high 30s to the 40s, I think, one day.
Muggy, smoggy.
Just reinforce what we were doing, I guess, and made me really hope that something happens soon, because I don't want to live with weather like this for the rest of my life.
In this valley of mine.
There's like, I'm not sure, we might have like overbooked for how many, I mean, for the number of people that we have. We thought like, at the beginning when
10 to 11. We have 2 presentations at 10 to 11 at different camps, I guess. At 10:30 on Wednesday, 7 people, I guess, need to go to do the press conference at the.
Thank you for being here in the city of Ottawa. You have come bringing a call to action on climate change. The climate change caravan.
The threat of climate change is a real one. The consequences are not only grave for Canada, but for the whole world. As an industrialized country,
today, we are having a funeral for the future. Today, we mourn for the loss of plentiful and healthy earth for future generations.
2 a.m. to 3 p.m. we have access to the Recycles Bike Co-op. That's something people can do. 2:30 is MEC. We need 4 people to go.
We've also seen the effects of climate change firsthand, from low water levels all across the country to extreme heat.
I think most Canadians are really worried about climate change. We've come across people who are talking there. 9:30 to 10:30 is a meeting with the Climate Change Secretariat. At 4:45 we're supposed to have some sort of bike rest, which may have been changed. I don't know. We don't know. It's just... Also at 2:30 there's a meeting with the Auto Smart. Okay, at 4:40 we need 2 people at the University of Ottawa. Is 4:45 we're supposed to have some sort of 3 p.m. we have access to the recycling. 8 a.m. is bus test. At 3 p.m. 4:45 we're supposed to have some. 5:45 is everyone at the canoeing. At 10:30. Also at 2:30. 4:40. 5:30, 12, 3 p.m., 9:30, 5:30, 6 p.m., 8 a.m., 4:45.
Why don't you just read?
Also at 2:30, 4:40, 5:30, 12, 10 to 11.
We've made a schedule and we've made a trip that is organized by a group of people who are very highly motivated and very high energy, but also live in an imbalanced way, and so the whole trip is off balance, I think. And we're not, priority is not going to sleeping, it's not going to personal and bike maintenance or any of those things. Even from the beginning, even before we even got on the bus and left, everyone was just so strung out, so stressed, and so working hard to a point of imbalance in everyone's lives.
Happy and healthy in order to keep doing it, and if this continues, we're not going to be able to keep doing it. It's not sustainable if it's not fun.
And I think that if we're preaching sustainability in general, we have to be sustainable in ourselves with our health, and the fact that almost everyone in the past 2 weeks has either gotten sick or had to take a break is a major sign of that. In fact, everyone has taken a break in the past 2 weeks except for you all. So that is a sign.
There's tons of people on
things need to change.
Larry, you're going into
Southern Ontario was pretty fun.
What makes it say that?
We did some fun things, I think. Some more creative. It was a bit more hardcore.
we've been working so hard for this, and in a way we've gotten exactly what we wanted, but even with all the attention and national media coverage, Canada still has a long way to go in terms of addressing climate change, and at the same time we're all really worn out and kind of at the end of our rope, so it seems like we need to refocus and recalculate our objectives so that we can get to where we need to go, because it's going to take a lot longer than a summer. bet. Do you think a target's helpful, or should we just try to get as many as we can?
What? Doesn't seem to work though.
No, from looking at what?
Yeah. Like the days in which we got the best media, we get maybe 10 people signing up for that.
Yeah.
How many people do we have signed up now?
Around 650. I was gonna check. I forgot to. Around 650 on the internet, and I'm guessing around 1,400 on the sign-up sheet.
The problem with, like, that's kind of, the easy thing to do, like, vet signatures or whatever, but first of all, it doesn't really seem like a culmination of everything we've done, like, kind of like, this is it, because we've done so many other things along the way, and it's kind of like, it's drawing all attention to the bet, which maybe is what we want to do. And also, like, the idea of just focusing on the bet doesn't really, like, excite us very much, like, in terms of, and I don't know what we could do to make it more exciting.
Just having numbers on our little calculator isn't really very significant. I think we need something bigger, and we can have a definite number, but we need something big and beautiful and fun and crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Represent commitments by Canadians to reduce their emissions by 50% from across the country.
Stop thinking about yourself and recognize that others are suffering because of climate change.
I think one thing that we're really beginning to realize in the Maritimes is that the kinds of changes that we're asking people to make with the bet are really positive changes in so many different ways, and that's really what needs to be emphasized, that this is fun and this is exciting, and this is something that hopefully more and more people want to be involved in.
It was a bit mad to cross Canada for climate change issue, so I decided to join the caravan in Frankston.
And I checked the website and stuff, and it kind of hit home. I think it's a really beautiful way to create change in the environment.
And I really like the idea of just being out on the bike and outside. I've been locked in an office for a while, so.
I emailed my supervisor at work and asked for an extra month off. So I quit my job.
It's a red light, don't worry about
I got a bike and I came back.
Cold on my face, and my bones have seen better days. Be a friend, pick me up off the ground, nice and easy. I got a scar, you can see it from afar, like cigarette burns on the top of my guitar. If you wish me luck, don't tell me to break a leg. I could have been walking on a peg.
Climate change is your fault. Climate change is your fault for humankind.
Are you blaming climate change on me?
Real people run close
Just using the example of a swan, if it's flying by itself, it responds to stimuli at a certain rate, but if it's flying in a group of others, it responds to stimuli 7 times faster. So if you have a group that's functioning really well in a sort of inspirational atmosphere, then you're going to get things done that people would not expect you to be able to get done.
To bike across the bridge?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
you wouldn't even make it onto the bridge.
No.
So maximum $500 fine per person.
Imagine
Is that
climate
500?
change caravaner getting fined $500
It would be pretty fun.
on the
But there's
only
no-
engineering structure built to address climate change in the world. Like, I think more likely what has happened is they block us with police cars, and they'd make us turn around to go back. But once we start going, it's going to be harder for them to stop us, right? The question is how far. If we can get like a kilometer long before they stop us, then we've succeeded, I would say.
And suddenly, like, we were up on the bridge, I think before any of us knew what was happening. Like, we were up and we could see the water, and it was so beautiful and so peaceful because the police ended up stopping all traffic on the bridge and just kind of waiting for us on the other side. So it was just us all together, you know, cycling across the bridge, and it was so amazing. We had the most incredible tailwind, and it just felt like we were flying.
Take me home to Lafayette. I gotta get away. Let's just leave it at that. It's safe to say that I'm on my way. They'll never find me now for the wrongs that I've done. With all due respect to your authority, but they should have thought twice before putting me in minimum security. It's safe to say that I'm getting away. They'll never catch me now for the wrongs that I've done.
This is a completely grassroots project. We don't have any government funding and don't have any industry funding, and so we've really been appealing to communities to help us out as we're going across the country. And so we've been staying in schools and community halls, and we've been fed by different church groups and groups like different environmental groups.
So long as they have their bellies filled this evening and their roof over their head.
That's the meeting, that's right.
They found out about us at 11:12 today, and by supper time they had organized the biggest potluck, a place to stay like this, as well as breakfast for tomorrow. Incredible, with dessert and everything.
I kind of feel like over the summer, the places that we've been most welcome and the places that I sort of came away with the best feeling from were places where there was a really strong sense of community.
The more we thought about communities, the more we realized that they were truly the foundation for our entire adventure. Thousands of people in hundreds of communities from BC to Newfoundland that fed us, supported our campaign, and made the whole thing possible and worthwhile.
that's one big thing that I really think a lot about, is sort of the visions for this project and the reality of how it went, and just sort of thinking about what I feel about this trip, if, like, in the most basic sense, if I feel like it's even been a success or a failure.
I mean, sometimes when you think, okay, well, we've crossed Canada and there's 2,500 maybe people that have signed the bet, you think, oh, geez, like that's not very many.
For the last probably month or so, I was thinking that was a waste of time. But then in the last little while, I've been hearing about all these people who actually are implementing it in a really serious way, which has been pleasantly surprising. I think from Southern Ontario on, it's sort of, the campaign has become more about changing the 30 or 40 people who've been involved in biking than changing the people around them, and building a really strong group and really strong friendships. I think we maybe, in a way, we have started a movement.
I think it's been about, like, a bunch of young people trying to figure out how, like, not only how to do a campaign, but like how to live this way. How to live in a community, like a lot like the ones that have been supporting us all the way across the country.
We are a community, and I think that that's something that is an absolute incredible treasure, and we, in our society, we get brief glimpses of that in our whole lives, out of the whole span of our lives, and it's an incredible treasure. In a sense, the caravan's home. I think for all of us, it's home.
But I can't appreciate you much, you know I've been driving much too fast. It's safe to say the end is on its way.
Your last caravan morning. Your last caravan morning. In a week you'll be lonely and wishing you were getting up at 5:30 in the morning with your friends. Today you get to do it.
We are the Climate Change Caravan, and we have traveled across the country by bicycle for 4 months, a distance of more than 9,000 kilometers.
During the summer, over 2,000 Canadians have committed to 7 out of 12 steps to reduce their emissions by between 25 and 60%. We know that in order to stabilize the climate at safe levels, every Canadian must take these steps. For us, Halifax is the end of the beginning.
We will not accept living in a world where cycling on a summer's day is hazardous to our health. A world where the first question we ask in every community is the water safe to drink? This was our experience this summer. We are not prepared to accept this as our future.
Did it work? Yeah, we've got over 2,000 people who've committed to reduce their emissions. But, I mean, we have to get every single Canadian to do that, so we still have a long ways to go.
I gotta get away, let's just leave it at
I'm committed to like the long-term plan of buying a piece of land as a community land trust.
I really think that a community can be an entity in which the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Becoming part of a community that's based on a piece of land and a connection to people.
A large piece of land with forest and farm.
And I think more specifically, perhaps buy some land in the Maritimes.
To build on the community that we found there and the movement. I mean, to continue to do the work that we set out to do.